Brilliant. So there we go, we've got the passes for that. Let's just wait for that to submit, and there's a few things that I can show you about passwords that you might find interesting. When you're storing passwords, you don't, so this, a password here, Sunshine, that's called plain text. You wouldn't store it as plain text, you would store it as a code using some sort of algorithm. So a popular algorithm is SHA256. So imagine you've got your system here. So let's just add a title, system, so your program. You would probably have your database stored somewhere else online. And the reason you would store it online is that so that everyone can access it for their usernames and passwords. So database. When you ask someone for their username and login, the login would be absolutely not a problem. You would send that as it is. You would send it as plain text, most likely. But the password you would receive as plain text into your input box, but the password over here in your database would be stored using a cipher or some sort of encryption. Probably most likely be hashed. So hashed password. So what I'm going to do is head to my GitHub, because I have a cipher project on there that I was working on, and hopefully I can remember how I wrote it, and I can show you about how we would encrypt a password. It's totally on a tangent, this. Okay, so these are the menus. So it's a modern cipher, SHA256, that's exactly the one we want. Actually, do you know what? What am I going to do? I'm going to keep that open. I'm going to open that in another tab. I'm going to pull that one here. Move that one to the left. Move that one to the right. And I think we're going to have a little look at the menus. So that's the main, so that should run the main program. Then we've got our menus here. So if we head down the bottom, that is the error check-in. Oh, hang on, this is it, modern menu. So system, enter a string to be encoded, get and set plain text. That's fine, so that's the scanner. Line system out, SHA256. Okay, so we're sending the getter and setter. So we've got something that's getting and setting the variables. I think we can figure this out. Right, let's copy that. Right, okay, so if we put that up here, so we can say, put that there. Let's delete that. We're going to be replacing this with a variable. So let's say password. We haven't imported SHA256 yet. It's going to want to throw a no such algorithm. Oh, okay, so it's looking for the package. That's fine. Right, so let's have a look back here for byte to hex. Byte to hex. So let me just show you here. So what we've got here is dot notation. So if you imagine a website, imagine this is Google, so www.google. And then instead of / we're using dot, and then it's saying byte to hex, which is this method here, whereas in web it would be /, so / images, / I don't know, videos, whatever. So this is our class, which is like our root domain, and then the methods inside that class are accessed using dot notation. That's one way to access them. So we need to access this method. So let's pinch this, pop it down. Oh, that didn't work. Pinch this. Oh my days. There we go. Let's paste that there. What's the shortcut for? Oh, there we go. Right, let's just select all of that and Alt-Shift-F, that's the one I was looking for. Okay, so we can actually get rid of the SHA.256 because we're accessing the method from here. What I'm going to do is probably move that, and it looks like we've got a little something that we need to update there. So let's take that, and then I'm going to put it in its own method so we can call it when we need it. So it's going to be a static because we're calling it from the main. It said it was a byte, so let's try. So the thing with coding is a lot of trial and error. I've never done this specific example before, so that's why it seems a bit disjointed. Right, so we need to give it a name, so let's call it byte to hex. Byte to hex. Ooh, there we go. We will probably end up passing a variable and returning a variable. So when I've created this, we'll still get a red underline. If you think back to the examples where we were using public static int, public static string, etc., we had a return type of string or int. This is expecting a return type of byte because we haven't said it's a void type. So let's just for now return byte. Will that work? In fact, let's just make this easier for now. So let's do void and then get rid of the return. There we go. So we've only got one error to deal with now, which we'll get to. So I'm going to need to go back to my code and have a look and see what the process is that we followed to get the hash. So let's go and find that. So public static byte, so it's a byte array, and it throws a no such algorithm exception. It's using message digest. Oh, so this is the bit that sets up the hashing and also tells what type of what type of hash we're using. So here you can see we're using SHA256. So let's pinch that, and then we'll paste this in as well. Right, what do we need? So we've got no such algorithm, that's fine. That should go away when we get rid of these red underlines. So this red underline is an import. So if we press Alt and Enter above it, or you can click on these light bulbs, add import. So that should get rid of 2 of them. This one we need to import as well. And the only reason I know we need to import these ones is through experience. So get and set, we haven't got this. I know this is a class. So if we head back here, as you can see, we've got our getters and setters class. So I know that this is the dot notation again. So I have created a class called getters and setters, or get and set, get plain text. So what we can do is have a look at the get plain text method. So here it is. So it's just very simple, getting the text. So we don't need that. We could say potentially password.getBytes, and password is the variable, remember, that we created up here. And it wants to return a hash. So do we need to add an import for that? We don't need to add an import, but we haven't actually created a variable for it. So let's go back to our getters and setters, and you can see here that we've got the hash, and it's a private static byte. So we can add that in up here. So private static byte, and we can call ours hash. There we go, so that's got rid of that error. And then this will probably need an import as well. There you go, so add import for Java security, no such algorithm exception. Perfect. Okay, so let's have a look. So this is saying that it needs a hash, or a byte, sorry. So can we pass it get hash? Unsupported exception must be called declared. That's fine, so we can get rid of that. So that will probably add a throws to the byte hex bit here. There we go. So if we call, oh my days, I've had the video paused and I've been chatting away to myself. So what I'll do is I'll get this working, and then I'll talk through what I've done, how I've done it, and why I've done it. So what we've got here is the hash of the password sunshine. So to get that hash, I put sunshine up here, called this method. So I've already got one running, let's just close that. Right, let's run that. So it's going to hash the word sunshine for us. And what we're doing here is demonstrating how we hash and compare hashes. So we've got that, so we can save that here. And let's just go back here to the image that I've very crudely drawn. So we've got our login. So this is your Facebook login, for example. You've got your username here, then you put your password in. But we don't compare a plain text password to a hashed password. What we would do is take the plain text, perform a hash on it, so we would get that long string of data, and then we would compare the login hash, so this one, to the hash stored in the database, so this one. And then we're not sending plain text passwords across the internet. So what we're doing here is we've got our sunshine hash. When we take our password, so that was originally password, but I've changed it to input, we're going to hash it, and then we're going to compare the two hashes together. Okay, so we've got scanner.nextLine is that. What we need to do is call byte to hex here, and we're not going to pass it password. What are we going to pass it? Let me think. Okay, let's say string hash is equal to byte to hex. So we need a return. So this is our byte to hex. So we've got hash there, which is calling that, which is a string, and we've got byte here. So I wonder if we could change this to string and return. Oh my days. Right, let's see. So remember, this is the hash for password. Let's see if this works. So enter username, Alex. Enter password, Sunshine. Dag nabbit. What we need to do here, because we're still, I'm still comparing password, I need to compare hash. So hash is a string here, so we need to compare the hash to this. Why have I got that printed out? Oh, it's that, isn't it? Why is that system out in? Oh, that's what it's system out in, that's why it's doing it. Actually, we can return this. String hash equals, let's just quickly try this. Oh, why isn't it like that? Method signature, oh, because it's expecting us to pass something, that's right. Right, that should work, why is that not working? There we go, right, let's give that a run. So it's Alex and Sunshine. There you go, so we've successfully logged in. So that is how a password would be checked. So we take the plain text password here, we would perform some sort of hashing algorithm on it, and then we compare that hashing answer, which is hash, to the hash that's stored in the online database. So that's it for our brief whistle-stop introduction to hashing strings. Hopefully that was of some use to you, and maybe filled in a few sort of blanks, particularly with the classes and the dot notation, and navigating around a GitHub repository, copying things into projects, etc. Until next time, good luck and happy coding.